Hello guys, welcome back to the channel, Nigel's Land Rover channel, and here we are back on this RC Land Rover. This is the Tamiya kit, and yeah, I've just looked at part 7, which was the last part. This is part 8, and I did that on the 28th of March 2020, so it's like 14 months ago almost, so sorry about that. As we can see, it's got a bit of dust on it, and I've just brushed it off and stuff. So yeah, we need to get this done, and the next part of the build is all about the interesting stuff for electrics. Now, if you're new to this and you haven't seen any of this before and you're interested in it, if you go back through my content, you will see I've done basically every single screw of this is on camera. Nothing is done off camera, so you can go back and have a look if you're interested. If not, switch off. But for those of you that are experienced with RC, I'm looking at this dust on here. For those of you that are experienced with RC, there won't be a lot of value in here for you because it's done really for beginners, and I think it'll be a little bit slow for you if you're an experienced guy. So you might just want to fast forward or run at double speed or something. I don't know. Anyway, as I say, I'm sorry it's been so long, but I have been distracted and I have had a recent loss of mojo. If you're not a modeler, it's something that modelers get now and again. You just don't want to pick anything up. So, and today it's a bit bleh outside, so I'm not working on the real Land Rover. So I thought, well, I'll get on with this one. So as I said at the end of part 7, basically we are now going to be looking at doing the electronics. Now, if you do watch my modelling channel and you're new to RC, you will see I've just done a review of a Tamiya M05 or M05 chassis with a Yaris, GR Yaris body on it. And basically that is going to be another build I'll be doing on my other channel, again aimed at sort of beginners and showing you how to do everything, and I'll probably do a time lapse on the chassis building, but this one is a totally different animal. It's all about showing you everything. Something I will say, if you do get one of these and pick it up and put it down and pick it up and put it down, something that confused me, like here you can see we're using screws MA3 and MB4 and everything. Normally with a Tamiya RC kit or a plastic kit, MA3 would indicate that these screws are in A bag and these screws are in B bag. So I've been looking frantically everywhere for where I've put all the screws. I then realised I saw this. Here we go. B takes you between stages 7 and 12, and then I remembered that what they're doing now, they're having bag B takes you from 7 to 12, and then you start on bag C. Okay, so as you can see, that takes you up to 18, and then bag D takes you to 22, and then this is now 23. So now we're looking at E, which is bag E here. And even though it is bag E, it still contains screws MA3. Okay, so we've got ME, MC, ME, MB. So we've got A, B, C. There's no D, but there's E in bag E. So don't get confused if you're old school like I am with Tamiya kits. I always thought the MA meant the bags were in bag A. So I've been looking everywhere for all my MA screws, and sure enough, I discovered then that that was that. So if you saw my review of the Yaris, you will see that I said in there, one of the beauties of that model is you put the servo in last. So you put the servo in and you can set it all up last. With this one, it's not so bad. It goes in now. It's going to sit in the chassis here and operate this arm here to do the steering. But what we need to do is set everything up on the bench first so that we can actually center the servo, because we want the servo to be in neutral position with no inputs or nothing, so that the arm sits at this angle like you can see here. So we need the arm to be sat in at that angle, so that's the center, and then you're going to get your sweep from there to there with this being central. Okay, so that's what we're going to do next. So I've got to get the servo and out here. Now we're going to look first of all at the in fact, no, we won't. I was going to say first of all, look at all this down here. Now this you may find confusing if you're new to all this. You can see, I'll just pick this up here just to show you. You can see we've got all these different screws. There's 4 different screws, and there's 2 different types of part that fit on there. Okay, this is the arm here. If you look, just it's a different shape in reality, but they're using that as a generic arm. So you've got this assembly here going onto the servo. Okay. So this piece here, B7 or B8, you need to select it now B7 or B8 according to what servo you've got. And you can see on this servo it says ACOMS there across the bottom, so we're going to be using B8, okay, and then we're going to choose which screw we're going to use by looking at the size of it and what we need. So what we'll do is we'll start small and work our way up, because the trouble is if you put a big one in there first, you could ruin the servo. You don't want to be doing that. You want to start small and work your way up. Okay. Now this is just a nylon shaft. It's not threaded, so it's going to be a self tapper going in. So we can discard ME1 and ME2 because they're a threaded screw, as you can see here, rather than a self tapper. So it's going to be MA4 or MA3 we're going to use. I think it's going to be MA3, but we'll try an MA4 anyway. So when we get to that, that's what we need to be considering. But first of all, we've got to set up all our electric gear, so electrical gear. So I've got my eTronics Pulse here. I was going to use the hand controller one, but I'm now going to go with this one. This is a 4-channel, but it doesn't matter. We didn't have to use all 4 channels. In fact, this is actually a 6-channel. So this is the normal sort of stick you're going to use. So we'll have left and right for the steering and up and down for the throttle. Okay, and that'll be that. This won't be used, and that won't be used. Okay, so there we go. So I need to get some batteries in the back of here. So I'm going to actually switch the camera off now, because you don't want to watch me put 8 batteries in here. That's pretty pointless. We're going to take this kind of cassette thing out. Just oh, broken a wire now. Great. That's all corroded in there, look. Wonderful. We might have to use the other one. Yep, I think we're going to have to use the 2-channel. So let me get back to it. Okay, I'm back. I found this one. This is the Carson Reflex stick. Carson are a very good company. They're sort of in bed with Tamiya, I believe. So we'll use this one for now. I'll have to repair that other battery box going forward, or just buy another 2-channel. I was saying this in my review I did. These days, years ago, radio gear was really expensive. These days you can get radio gear for like 20 quid. It's just ridiculous. But as you just saw, maybe the quality's not there. So we've got our transmitter. Okay, we've got our receiver. Generally, if you buy one of these, you're going to get this with it, so make sure you do get a receiver with it. And then you've got your servo, which you have to buy extra. You've got the battery, which you have to buy extra. And then in the box with the kit, we've got the Tamiya speed controller, which is a very nice piece of kit. And I think I've probably mentioned it in these videos before. Make sure when you buy your model what you're getting, okay? Because you'll see some that will be like 30 to 50 pounds cheaper than the others, and then you'll find that actually what the reason for that is it has no LEDs, because this model comes with LED lights, and you've got no speed controller. So make sure you know what you're buying, and make sure you know that you're getting make sure you know what you're getting for your money, because some are different. I got this one on Amazon and it came with the LEDs and the speed controller, and it was cheaper than some I saw on eBay. So there you go. So for some reason we've got 3 wires there. I'm not quite sure why. Normally we only have 2. So here we've got a completely separate set of instructions that tells you how to wire this up. And I'm even looking in the Tamiya manual and it shows 2 wires. So these are Japanese. Let's find the English page so that I can understand what I'm reading. Here we go. So it tells us, it's telling us, I don't know why we've got a sensor cable. That's obviously for a brushless motor. So brush motors, orange is not used. There we go. So you can see that there. Okay. So what we're going to do is connect this all up as per the instructions. So we've got our servo, which needs to be connected. Now, if we look at this diagram here, we can see that we've got channel 3 is this one, which I want to use for the steering, which is that one. So we'll have the throttle there, or we'll have the throttle there and the steering there. What should we do? I think we'll have throttle there and steering there. Yeah, so we'll use channel 2 for the steering. So we're going to plug our servo into channel 2, and it will only go one way because the plugs have a certain shape on them. You can see these little triangular nubbins sticking out of the side on here, and the right side is straight. Okay, so make sure it goes in the right way. So you've got a little chamfered angle cut on there. So we're going to go into channel 2 with this one. Okay, so that's going to plug in there. So we've got a servo connected. Now our speed controller is going to connect to the battery, and this wire here is basically where the receiver is going to get its power from. So this one's going to go into the top connector there, which is called battery. Now, as always, they have this tab on the side sometimes. You can see on here, they've got a little tab, and that's trying to make you buy a Tamiya receiver, I think. So you just cut that off, like so, and then it will fit into the Carson receiver. I'm going to have to cut a bit more off, I think, or am I trying to put it the wrong way? No, I'm trying to put it the right way. It doesn't want to, there we go. Needs a bit more of a push. Don't quite understand why they've got that tab on there, because as I say, Tamiya are in bed with Carson, so you'd think it would fit a Carson. So we've got a runoff switch here, we've got our connector there for our battery, and we've got our connections here for the motor. So what I need to do is connect this to the battery. Now I've checked the battery's charged. Okay, so plug that in like that, and then you can see with the switch, when I switch it on, this red light is flashing. So what we need to do is what's called binding, okay? And we need to bind the radio to the receiver. That way, what you can do, you can have one radio and a load of different models. You just buy more receivers, and then you could just use the one radio. You can get some more expensive radios. I've got one, if I think of it, I'll show you. It's got a digital display, and you can actually select up to, I think, 6 different models without having to bind them all the time. So I've got the manual here. This is the Carson manual, which is quite thick, and to be honest, when you read all this, it's needlessly detailed. It's very, very long-winded. So what we're going to do is turn on the transmitter. Okay, so it says hold down the setup button, which is here. So hold down the setup button and turn on the transmitter. Okay. Now at low power, the transmitter gives off signals and its blue LED display blinks slowly. And we can see the blue LED display there blinking slowly. Hold down the setup button on the receiver and turn on the receiver. So we've got the setup button. How am I going to do this? I've got one hand holding this, and I've got to try and switch this on. Okay, the red LED on the receiver will light up temporarily. So I'm going to have to hold that button down. And I can't do this with one hand because I'm holding the setup button on the radio. So if I push down that, no, because I'll. There we go. Okay, so that's it. I think they're bound now. There we go. So we can hear the servo working. Okay, then we can trim it on there. So we make sure our trim is in the centre, and if it is going the right way, well, we don't know which way is the right way until we get all the gearing sorted out. But basically, we've got switches on there. So if you look on, which one's number 2? This one here. So I don't know if you can see on here, but if I move, I do think you'll be able to focus on it. Tell you what, if I put a pen mark on it, you'll see what I'm talking about, and this is something important for newbies. I put a pen mark on it so you can see what's happening. Now if I move, come on, focus camera. See, if I move the stick to the right, the servo turns to the left. Okay, so if I flick this switch on the back here, now when I go to the right, if I go to the left, the servo goes clockwise. If I go to the right, the servo goes anti-clockwise. If I flick that switch, it goes opposite. Does it? It's switch number 1 is doing it, not switch number 2. So if I go to the right, it goes clockwise. If I go to the left, it goes anti-clockwise. If I switch it back over, it goes to the right is anti-clockwise and left is clockwise. If we look at the instructions, it's showing you here that switch number 2 is the second one in, and I'm actually moving switch number 1 even though this is channel 2. So there we go, made in China. So there we are, that's that all done. So we've now got the servo centered. Okay, make sure that, because you can see that as I move the, you've got this lever here, where I move my finger, that actually is your trim. So you can, if you can get to focus on it, come on camera, focus. You can see that as I move that, it just adjusts it, and that's how you can center your steering. Okay, so that's your fine adjustment. So make sure that's in the center down there before you do this. Okay, so now we can switch it off, and if you want to, disconnect the servo, turn your radio off, and just make sure that nothing is cluttering up your bench and in the way like mine is. So we'll get all that out of the way over there. So now I'm going to come to the instructions, and we need to get those parts off of the sprues. So I'm going to turn the camera off once again and get the parts off, because I haven't prepared myself with these plastic parts that I need here. Okay, so I've got parts bag E, and within bag E we've got a bag of screws and bearings and nuts and things there, and we've got another little bag here with some bits and pieces. So in here we've got some sticky pads and a steering shaft and some cable ties, so we'll be using all of that in this video. I've also got here sprue B. Now if you remember, as I said before, I need B8 because it's ACOMS. We're not going to need those two screws there, we're going to need one of those two there. So we're going to get MA4 and MA3 out. Okay, so we don't need that yet actually. In fact, what I will do, I will fit this to the arm, this brass ball, I will fit this to the arm before we put it on the servo, because that saves us putting any undue stress on the servo if the thread's a little tight. So we get that one out of there, and we'll drop the staple in there. Then we can get this part off of the sprue, like so, and then we're going to use B8, because B8 is ACOMS and Tamiya. We've got this part here, which is our Servo Saver. This is like a, it's almost like a spring, and I'll show you what I mean in a minute. And then we've got this washer here, part B2, which goes in between. We'll see all this going together in a second. And that sprue now is basically junk unless you want to take this one off. This is for Futaba and Tamiya. You can keep that as a spare, and then that one can go in the bin. Right, so we're going to put this arm on here. So it's going to go on the back side, so it's going to screw into here. So I need to grab one of my, this is one of the spanners you get with the kit. Again, we're going to keep that nice and square. Make sure it's going in nice and square, give it a little tug. There we go. And that way nothing gets split. And you can see it's taking quite a force to put this in, and it would have been a little difficult to do when it's on the servo. It also puts undue stress on the gearing in the servo, which is probably plastic. I don't even know if this servo is going to be much good for this model. It may be a little too weak. And then what we're going to do is put this on here. Okay, that's there, that's part B3, and then this is going to slot into there. And the reason I'm putting these together first is because we need to get the alignment right. And you can see here, we're looking at our servo, we've got the shaft at this end of the servo to the left, and then if you look at the crosshairs, that's how you want it. So we need to get this on here without turning the shaft, approximately like that. Okay, so you can see there that the angle is about right. If we go one more spline round, you can see it's not enough, and then we can go 2 splines round, and it's like that. So we'll come back to that position there. So that's going to fit on there like that. Okay, and we can just push that down. Now, I'm not convinced that is a good fit on there. Where's the other one? Where did it go? That one's too small, so it's a bit of a floppy fit, that one. So I don't know. I guess we'll go with it. So we need to find a screw now that's going to fit. We need to put this washer down in here, this plastic washer. So in the screws bag, we've got a choice of 2 screws. So we can either use an MA3, which is your 3mm by 10, or we can use an MA4, which is going to be a smaller version, which is an 2.6 by 10. So where is this 2.6 by 10? Where is it? There it is. So we'll squeeze that one up out of the bag. No, that's a 3, isn't it? I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to pour all these out into a pot like I did before to keep some continuity. So we'll get all this out into there. There we go. Okay, make sure the bag's empty before you throw it away. So we've got, I'm just looking, I'm trying to find the bigger one. There's smaller ones. I can't see. I can't see which is which. I'll have to measure them. So I'll have to get my calipers. Okay, so that's a 3. That's a 3. Is this one 2.6? This one may be smaller. Nope, that's a 3. This is done to try me, this is, isn't it? That's a 3. Don't tell me Tamiya have got a screw miss, and I have never known there we go. There it is in there, look. They've done it to get me. They've done it to confuse me. There's the 2.6. Right. So we'll try the 2.6. And that just drops straight in. So it's not that one. Okay, so we can tip that one out. Take off the washer. We can put that screw back in the box. So it's going to be an MA3. So we'll grab that screw and we'll just drop that down in there. Okay. Now, when you do this up, it's very important that you hold this, don't hold the servo. Otherwise, you're going to be putting lots of stress into that gear. Okay, so just pulling that down. Just snip it down like that. And now that's connected to there. Okay, so that's that fitted. Just make sure it is done tight because you don't want it coming off. I'm not sure how good that's going to be because these are very old servos. They came from an old set I had, and they're probably sort of an older ACOM standard, but if I have to buy new servos, I'll buy new servos. That's not a problem. So I'm going to put all these screws back in the pot so we don't lose them. Because the way I'm going at the moment, I'm going to knock everything off the bench. I'm sorry if it seems a bit disorganised, guys. It seems that way because it is. So, there we are. Right. So we've got our servo now. We've got it all dialed in on the 0 position. So now we can move on and start to get things connected. So we need, once again, I need plastic parts that I don't have out. So we need D2. So this is sprue D. So we need 2 of these. Okay, so we can put that sprue to one side. All right, and now we need ME5, which was the shaft in this bag called E. And we're going to screw these onto here. Get them on a couple of threads so they're about even. And then what you should be able to do is screw them on, and you can see that what's happening is this one is going a lot easier than that one. So I'm going to make sure this one is down because that's more likely to slip off. And we want them square to each other, so we want them both to be facing upwards, and we want them 32mm apart. So I've already gone too far. So I'm going to wind it out. There we go, 32.1. That's the closest I'm going to get. If I come in another half turn, then it becomes 31.8. So 32.1 is closer to 32 than 31.8 is. So that's going to go like that. So now this is going to snap onto here, and it ain't going to be easy, as these things never are. Wow. Okay, so that's gone down on there. Now I need MB4. So that's 2 of these washers. 1, 2, and again we can compare them to the instructions and we can see that they are correct. And then I need 2 of the MA3 screws. Sorry, I'm going to need 3 of these for this. Okay, so there's an MB4 there. I need another plastic part that I haven't got out of the bag, but it is next to me here. So we need another MA3 screw, and that's that. So I need this part here, which is D8. So I get that one off, just like so. And what we're going to do is we are going to screw this. Now the servo goes that way around. You can see we're swinging it around now. So that's going to go on the back of there like that. That shaft's going to go off that way. So I need 1 of these screws, 1 of these washers, and that is going to go in there like so. Now, they always used to give you little plastic things to go in there, so I'm just going to check my spares box and see if we've got any. I'll show you what I mean if I've got some. Basically, a little tiny box of spares I keep. Little tiny plastic cups that go into the servo. It appears that I don't have any. So we'll have to do without. That's okay. Right, so that's going to be a screw going in there. And then that screw's going to bite into this plastic. Just like so. So that's going in there. And the reason I'm fitting it to the servo first is, as you can see, we've got a slot there for adjustment, so we wouldn't know where it's going to go before fitting it in. So what we're going to do now is move the instructions out of the way, get the actual truck chassis over, and then we can grab another one of these washers and a screw, put the washer on the screw, and then basically what's going to happen is this screw is going to go into here, just a couple of turns, hold that washer up, and then we can slide this servo in like so. It's going in the right hand hole. Okay, so we can tighten that screw down. Okay, and then we'll get another MA3 screw and a washer. That's going to go in there and get wound down into there. So that's all nice and snug. And then that's going to go on there. Now I know the servo is in neutral, and I've got my steering basically about square. You can see if I turn the car over, you can see the steering's about straight ahead, so that's okay. So that's all worked out well, and we can put that on there. And I've got to try and get this on here without breaking anything, which is not going to be easy. Trying to do it on camera, I would normally pick this up and do it, but there we go. Wow. As I've said before, if you're a small person, you might want to get a big person to do that for you. So there we go, that's all in like that. I'm not sure how long that servo is going to last in there at all, or if it's going to be any good at all. Right, so moving on to the next stage now. This is stage 25. We're going to be getting that plastic part there and attaching our receiver and our servo, our speed controller to it. Now, I'm not going to permanently fit the receiver at the moment, because I'll probably use a different radio for this. So what I'll do is I'll get that part off. I'll get this part E1 off the sprue, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so I've got this part now E1 off there. You can see this is this part here, and in the e-bag you get some sticky pads with which to switch your parts, to switch you stick your parts down with. So take that out of there. It's a very tight fit. I'll give that a little trim with the knife, cutting away from myself. Okay, that should make it a little bit easier. So our speed controller is going to go on, and what they're telling you is putting it that way, so that these cables, the main cables, are coming out to the top, and that's going to go up against those screw holes there. So we'll get one of these sticky pads, and we'll stick that on the back there, like so. Okay, and then I'm just going to trim that off, I think. Otherwise all the dirt and dust will just get attracted to it and stick in there. So we just cut that off like so. Okay, and then peel the backing off of here, just like that. And then we're going to put this down again, making sure it's the right way round, and those cables are going to be coming out of the top, and we'll have it over there like so. Okay, just like that. And then the receiver is going to go in next to it. Now I'll use that tiny little bit I've got here to put the receiver in, because as I say, I'm going to be changing the radio gear, I think. Come on, there we go. Right, so we'll stick the receiver down, and what they're telling us to do is have the connectors up at this end so that the aerial comes out on the bottom side. Okay, so that's going to hold that there temporarily for us. All right, now we've got all this here as an assembly, and those cables are going to come around like you can see here with the motor, and we've got the on-off switch and everything. So what we're going to do now is actually fit this into the chassis. Now we need 3 MA3 screws, 1, 2, 3. That's an MA2, MA4 should I say. We get a piece of tape out of the way, and then we're going to need 3 of these washers again. Hang on. These are the smaller washers, not that one. This one here. So 1, 2, where's that gone then? Have I used one on the... We'll just use that one, never mind. Right, oh no, it's only 2 of them, it's not 3, sorry. Okay, so, and then we've got MC4, which are these little screws here for the switch. Okay, so they're going to go like that. Right, so what we're going to do is drop this into the chassis like so. Make sure you're on the camera. So that's going to drop in, make sure you don't trap any of the wires, like that. No, it's not. Okay, that's facing forward, so that's going to drop in like... This is crazy, it doesn't fit. Okay, so it's going right back here, that's why I'm going wrong. So that's got a hole in it, and that's got a hole in it, so that sits in like that. Right, we got there in the end, guys. Sorry about that. Okay, so we're going to use 3 of these screws, these MA3s, to hold it in place. So we'll put one in there. We'll put one in there. Oh, fuddle duddle. If you follow my Land Rover project, I think you'll like what you see. I've actually made a jig to hold the bulkhead so that I can work on it without having to flip it over all the time. Because I was thinking when I start to tidy the bulkhead and start to get some nice shiny paint on there, I don't want to be flipping it over and leaning it against things because it'll get scratched. So I've made a jig so it can stand up. So I can turn it over, paint the bottom and everything first, and then bolt it to the jig, and it can just stand up for as long as I want it. And then I can lift it off with an engine crane and put it on the Land Rover. It will never touch the ground again. There we go. So that's all that done. So get these wires all untangled. Now this is the switch wire. So this is going to go over here, and it's going to run, they're suggesting to run this around the motor and in like that. Not sure if I like that, to be honest. I think what I'd rather do is disconnect the servo at this end. Get that screw out of there. Lift the servo up and then run the wire under there, like so, and then down the side of the servo, if it'll go. There we go, it's nice and loose down there. There we are, so make sure it's not pinched, and it's not, so that's okay. And then we can put that screw back in there. Got Jess down here to my left, and she's just stood staring motionless into that radio controlled spares box. So this is going to go in here. So obviously we're going to take these two screws out of here. I think it's just going to remove a front plate. And Tamiya will have given us a sticker. Come on, how long are these bloody screws? Jesus. Yeah, Tamiya will have given us a sticker to put in place. Oh, come on. Do people not realise I'm trying to make a video here that at least people could, you know, try and stay awake? There we go. Right. Just check there's nothing on the moulding to see on off. No, there isn't, so it doesn't matter which way around it goes. But I'm going to have it so that the wiring comes out neatly, like so. Then we can turn that over on its side. And then we can grab one of these screws and a washer. Come on. We'll push that through there. And there are actually steel threaded nuts inside that switch by the look of it. And we'll do the same with this one. In fact, we'll just put the washer on the screw. Like so. And then that can go into the switch. Just like that. There we go. So that's the switch in place. So we have now completed. Oh no, we've got to connect the cables now. I'm assuming, which you should never do because you make an ass of you and me, I'm assuming that the red is live and the blue is negative. So we'll get those cables out from under there, and then that switch wire can go down there. Now something I always do if I can is I run the wires around the end of a screwdriver, like so, just to coil them up, and then what you do is put them out of the way and they take up a smaller space, but I can't get in there very neatly, so we'll be doing some cable tie action with that. So I'm assuming that blue's going to go to blue. I won't push them together too tightly, we'll test it in a minute, and then it did say over here, you've got here blue is negative, yellow is positive, so the yellow is going to go to the red and then the orange won't be used. Okay, so just like that. So they can go like that. I'm not going to cable tie them or anything at the moment because I don't know where they're going. Now this one's going to go to channel 2 on the radio. We're going to get these out of the way over here. See if I can make them stay down there. Otherwise they're going to become a pain. So this one here, what I'm going to do, as I said before, take a screwdriver, start at the bottom end, get the cable laid out flat, and then we can wrap that cable around the screwdriver like so. Just like that. And then, as you can see, we have now got a very neat cable run going from the servo up to the receiver. And then this one here we can do the same with. Pull that up. Get these bloody wires out of the way. Go away. There we go. That can go around there like that. I think it's going to uncoil itself, that one. And this one, again, making sure it's the right way around, it's going to go into battery. Again, it's a tight fit. There you go, that one's in. And as you can see, that's much neater. And then this, because it's a 2.4 gig, we don't need the big plastic shaft that the aerial runs at. What we can do is just literally run this around here, run it around there, and tie it off. Now, I'm not going to fuss too much because, as I say, I'm going to be changing this receiver, but that's all you need to do. You don't need it coming up the outside of the body or anything. Now then, we need to test this to make sure it's all good. Now this cable here I want out of the way. Okay then guys, I did lose it a bit there. I've just looked at I've got the bloody instructions here for the speed controller. We've got the instructions here for the radio gear, and we've got the instructions here for the kit. So we'll put all those to one side. And I'm looking on here, I should have read this first. And it's basically saying, with receiver power switch off, remove motor cables and ensure that no motor output is being transmitted to the model. Position throttle trim in neutral. So there's our throttle trim in neutral. Okay. And put throttle reverse switch into reverse position. Okay. Throttle reverse switch into reverse position. Now that was supposed to be 1, if you remember from the chart. They showed you on here 1, 2, 3, 4, so I'm assuming that this is going to be into reverse position. Doesn't really matter. And then if transmitter throttle range has been adjusted, reset the factory to turn off any ABS or acceleration functions. Switch on transmitter, switch on receiver. So the transmitter is on, turn the receiver on, and we've got a solid LED, which is what we want. So while holding down set button, check that LED flashes in the order red, green, orange, red. Release set button when LED lights up to red. LED will start to flash single flash red. Okay, it's not doing anything. Okay then guys, taking you back to square one. Stupid idiot me, I was actually looking at the light on the receiver, not the LED light on the actual speed controller, which is what we're trying to set up. I'm trying to get this cable to stay out of the way, which is not impossible. Something I've noticed here, it tells you to connect this to channel 2 on the receiver. Well, I don't want to connect it to channel 2. I want to connect it to channel 1, don't I? Because that's what I'm trying to do. This is the feed. So you've got a connector here that says battery, which you think is your power feed. It's not. Channel 1 is where you want to get the power going in. So basically now what we need to do is look at this LED, and all I had was flashing green, which meant I didn't have a power connected. So I've now connected this to channel 1, all right, and now it seems to be working correctly. So if you look on the back here, you turn the transmitter on, you turn your receiver on, And when you press this set button here, I'm going to use a screwdriver so that you can see it. You have to check that it flashes red, green, orange, red. Okay, release set button when LED lights up red. LED will start to single flash red. Okay, so when I press this, look at this light here in the screwdriver. When I press this down, we've got red, green, orange, red, green, orange, red. It says release it when it's red and it starts flashing red. Okay, we'll start to single flash red. Apply full throttle, and press the set button. Okay, now if procedure is performed correctly, LED will start to double flash, and it has started to double flash. Okay, apply full brake and press set button once. When LED turns off, setup is complete. There we go. So that'll be full throttle and that'll be reverse. So now it's showing the green light means it's actually going to work. So if we connect up our battery, so what was it? It was, where's the other set of instructions? This one here I'm looking for. Blue and yellow we want. So we've got blue and yellow, blue and red. So if I connect blue to blue, like that, and red to yellow, like that. Okay, so now we've got our servo. It's doing our steering, and it's the wrong way, so we need to change the trim. That's this one here, isn't it? Doesn't sound very good, does it? And then, okay, so the speed is correct. We've got no reverse. Yes, we have. So to go forward and then brake, and then, okay, so what I'm doing here, I'm going forward and then brake. So you have to actually, to go back, you have to come out and then go back. Okay. So there we go. And if it was wrong, I'd just change the polarity. So there we go. So that's all working. So the steering works. Oh dear, that's terrible. I think I'm going to be going on Amazon and getting some servos, I think. Let's just get this lifted up so there's no strain on it. That's going the right way now. Not really supposed to sound like that, is it? There we go. So we've got our steering going the right way now. And there we are. That's all that done. And just once again, we'll show you the throttle forward. It's decided to stop working. Don't know why that would be. Ah, the car's connectors come out. That's why. So we know they're the right way around now, so we can push them all the way in. Just like so. There we go, forward and reverse. So let's turn it off there and see what's next. And there we go, as if by magic, the servo has changed. And now we've got a HPI servo. I don't like this. Whenever I put it down, it doesn't seem to want to. It's really strange. I hear it mechanically clunking, but if I pick it up, it's okay. I don't know why. I don't think anything's touching the ground. It can't be. Weird. So there we go. So that's a lot better. It's actually quite a strong servo as well. I can't wrestle with it. It's quite a lot of strength in that. So I'm not really happy with this at all. I don't like this mechanism. You can see it's pushing. It needs more leverage on it. It should be more around this way, I think. I may see if I can adjust that actually. So let me see if I can adjust that, and then I'll come back, see if I can improve things. Okay, so unfortunately I can't, because I've just looked in the instructions, and on the end of here it's just round with two flats, so it can only go 180 degrees opposed, and I don't think there'll be any benefit in that at all. So I think what I'll do is leave it as it is for now and see how we go. I mean, maybe I could turn all of this around and have it working the other way. maybe that would make things better, but I'm thinking it would probably foul on the motor then, because it would be over here and it would foul on the motor. So pretty bad design, and it's very surprising for a Tamiya model. If I compress the suspension a little bit, it does seem to be a bit better, but you can see it's all a bit, you know, a bit croaky. But anyway, it's only a Land Rover, eh? So what's going to be next in the instructions? Let's have a look. Let's get that battery disconnected as well. It's a good idea to disconnect the battery when you're not using it. And also remember, these electronic speed controllers can get quite hot. So, right, so we've done steps up to 25. We've got the switch in and everything. Oh, now it's the tyres. They're telling you to super glue the tyres on. I don't ever super glue my tyres, so what I've got to do now is get all these parts out which we've got here. And I'm not going to be using those bearings. I'm going to be using these bearings here. So we've got our two. Just rip that bag open. I can't be bothered to get it open. So we've got these two here. Oh, come on. Right. So those two rubber sealed bearings there. We're going to have 4 of these metal pins, which we've got here. We've got the plastic pieces there, which are in the box behind me here. So we've got these plastic drives here for the wheels. So they're going to go on. Got 2 of them. And then we'll grab 2 of these. Like so. And then what will happen is we'll get the front over here. The bearing on the front wheels will drop in to there like so, and then this pin we'll pull the shaft through. I hope you can see what I'm doing here. I'm pulling the shaft through, and then this pin will slide through the shaft, through the hole. Get it to go in. There we go. Like so. Okay, it's not a press fit or anything, it just slides in. And then on the back of this, you can see you've got 4, if the camera focuses, you can see you've got 4 slots in there, and then 2 of those slots are going to line up. So that's like that, and then we're going to bolt the wheel on. So let me get the wheels and tyres out of the box, and then I'll come back. Okay, so we've got the tyres and wheels here. Got them off the sprue, got the wheels out the back, the tyres out the bags. So they're quite a tight fit. As I say, they recommend instructions to super glue your tyres on. I have never bothered. I have actually gone to an indoor RC track and never had a tyre come off, so I don't really worry about it too much. I don't know what it's like on this, but the tyres certainly don't seem to spin on the rims, so I'm not going to worry about that too much. So basically in the back of there you can see we've got the hex, and that's going to go over this hex on here. So that's going to slide over the shaft, and then you can see it locks down onto that hex. And then we've got the nuts in here, and again we've got our box spanner that comes with the kit. So we've got the box spanner there, so we put the nut on and then just screw it on like so. I know you can see it's the back of my hands, I'm sorry, but there we go. So that's something I don't go graunching it up. And then we can do the same on the other side. You can grab the paint, we'll grab the bearing first, we'll drop the bearing in, press that down into the hole. There we go, that's down in, and then grab this pin, slide the pin through the shaft like so, sort of just so it sits there like that, and then we can grab our, wherever it is, here it is, and that will go down over the top and engage. That's your drive then, your drive dog, and then we can grab another wheel and tyre, drop that on like that, drop a nylock nut on, or a nylock nut should I say, not a nylock nut, like some kind of yob. There we go, get that down on, and then we can repeat it for the back. So we can turn it over like so. Actually it's easier to have it on its side. And then we cut 2 of these off the sprue, like so. Throw that sprue away. grab one of those metal pins and then that pin can slide through the hole in the axle. That's why it's better to do it on its side, because the pin won't just fall out then. That can go like that. Drop the wheel on, engage the wheel with the hex, grab your nylock nut, down over the top. And then repeat on the other side. Grab the pin. We've got a spare pin in there by the looks of things, which is good. Always good to have spares in your spares box. Never throw any RC parts away, because you never know when you might need them. Because Tamiya RC parts ain't cheap. There we go, simple as that. We've got our wheels on, and Jess is sat here to the left of me watching this religiously. So we've got that, there's all our suspension and everything. You can see we've got oil filled dampers by the way it comes back up. So that's that done. Now I'm just concerned, I thought I'd missed something. I missed that there, look. So we've got to fit that front nudge bar, which is here. So I'm going to trim this off as neatly as I can. Now recommendation, guys, don't try and clean up the pin marks with sandpaper, because you'll never get the finish. Now you can trim with a knife, but don't try and sand this stuff, because it scratches up pretty nasty and it's very difficult to get it back. So you can just hope for the best. I mean, I'll tell you what, just for your benefit, I'll try a very fine Matador stick. This is a 3000 grade. As you can see, it dulls it. But I'm just wondering if I can get it back. We'll see. Let's have a look. This is for the modelers out there more than the Land Rover fanatics. And this is what they call a polishing sponge. This is like a 4000 grit polishing sponge. And it does appear that this will get it back. So you've still got a mark there, but don't go going in there with sanding sticks and stuff, because it scratches it up and it's very, very difficult to get the finish back. So this is just going to screw onto here like so, and this is a necessity, especially if you're a newbie. You need some sort of nudge bar on there. So we're going to use these 3 MA3 screws that we've got left in here, just like that. Grab our screwdriver, pick up one of the screws, get it ready, and then we can put our push bar in. In a minute we can drive it on the bench. And you can hear Jess go mental. These screws are very tight. They've obviously got smaller holes. There we go. So let's make some room on the bench, and then just to close this video out, oh, by the way, I cable tied these cables down, but what I'm going to do now is just put the battery, I'll tell you what I'll do, the battery's going to go in there. If it can go in that way with the cable first. Look at that, can go in that way, just for now. Let's connect the battery up with that, put that on the bench like that. Always turn your transmitter on first, guys. Transmitter on, radio on, clunky steering. So we'll see what it's like for sensitivity. There we go, it's going forwards. It's going backwards. So Jess is coming to have a look. And that noise you can hear is normal for an RC car to make that noise. And there we go. And then we can blast it forward. See if we can move that instruction sheet out from behind it. There we go. So there we are. That's Jess going crazy. So we'll call that a day for part 8, guys. And so we've got it done. So part 9 is going to be all about getting the body done. Because that's what we've got to start looking at now, is getting all this body done. We've got to put the battery connectors in and everything, which we'll do. But so we've got to trim the body, paint it, make some holes in it. It's quite a detailed little exercise painting this body because it's multicoloured, fit the mirrors, fit the roll cage. And then we're going to be done. So I've got to choose a colour. As I said in my other video, I'm going to try, I've read somewhere that you can use 2-pack. So I have bought some 2-pack for the Defender to paint the bulkhead. So I'm going to try spraying some scraps of this Lexan material. In case you've forgotten, just get this out of the way. In case you've forgotten what it looks like, here's the body for what you can see of it. And basically we've got the, maybe I won't do it Keswick green because that'll be trying to make it look like my Land Rover. It looks nothing like it because I haven't got a sunroof, I haven't got county windows, and I haven't got windows in the side. So maybe I won't bother. Maybe I'll just do it green or something. But I'll see what paints I've got and then we can have a look at that. I wanted to have a white roof anyway. So there we go. That's the body. We've got to trim it all, wash it all out, mask it all up and get it painted. So there we are. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you all soon, if soon will be another year, for part 9. Bye for now.